Clark, first question for you is, where did you grow up?
I grew up in Omaha, Nebraska.
And what was your childhood like growing up in Omaha?
Oh, it was pretty fun. I had a great time growing up. I had a brother that was 10 years older than me. My parents were older parents. My dad was 50 when I was born. So we did a lot of traveling when I was a kid. My dad loved vacation, so we always went on vacation once or twice a year. We always went to Florida around Christmas time. And I just grew up a pretty creative kid. I like to do a lot of things, ride my bike, ride around. I'm not sure you can do that much anymore. Not many kids feel that free to just take off, but my best friend and I, we'd take off all day on our bikes. So it was a great time growing up.
Yeah, absolutely. That sounds like some freedom. Absolutely. When you get your bike, it's that chance to explore a lot more. I think you're right. So after you grew up and got to do some traveling around with your family, and it's time now to go to UNL. Why do you decide to go to University of Nebraska-Lincoln?
Well, my dad always encouraged higher education. He went to Nebraska when he was a kid and in college, and he was in a fraternity, Kappa Sigma, and he loved his fraternity life there, and he became a lawyer. He got that degree at Nebraska, and so anyway, I went to Nebraska because I decided I wanted to be an orthodontist when I was in high school, and so I thought my best chance was to go to Nebraska to dental school, and then I had an outside thought that I might want to be a medical doctor as well. So I just thought that would be the best place to go if I wanted to get accepted.
Mm-hmm. Great. So your aspirations to become, at least into the dental world, to be a dentist, you were, that's obviously a difficult path. It takes a while, lots of studying, of course. But in that meantime, you decided to join Acacia. And can you explain why you decided to join?
Yes, I think of the people that, the houses that rushed me, I just liked the guys in Acacia, and it was a pretty small house at the time, but it was a new house, kind of a newer house, and so I think our pledge class was maybe 15 people, so it wasn't a very big pledge class, but I just kind of liked the guys in the house.
I gotcha. So you went through formal rush then? You did a rush application, or did you know anybody else in the house?
I didn't know anybody. They just came to visit me. I was looking at the Beta house, the Kappa Sig house, and the Acacia house, but it just seemed like to me that the Acacia guys were nicer guys. I was not much of a drinker, partier when I was in high school, so I didn't really want to go to too wild a place. Not that the other houses were, but or any less than Acacia, really. It just they just seemed like they were nice guys.
Yeah, that's great. So you decided to join after meeting the guys, going through summer rush. So how long? Well, I guess while you were in there, I should say 3-4 years in college, or what are some of your favorite stories while being an undergraduate in Acacia?
Well, there were 4 or 5 guys in my pledge class I really enjoyed and had hung out with a lot, and actually was roommates with a couple of them after I got out of the house, and then one of the guys that pledged a year after mine was a really good friend for a long time, and so it was just some great friendships that were in the house, and I think one of my best friend in the house, he passed away. He was in medical school, and he was actually murdered when he was doing his residency, and that was pretty traumatic. That was after we were out of the house, though. But when I went to lived in a house, and I was accepted to dental school after 2 years of undergraduate college. So then I went to dental school and still lived in a house that third year, and I think I was secretary of the house that year, and it was just a real struggle for me to live in the house and to go to professional school. I really didn't know that professional school would be that hard. And so that first semester was really difficult for me. And then the fourth year I moved out in an apartment with a couple guys, and that was, that was better for my dental school. But one thing I always did is I would, it was on the way home from dental school to my apartment, and I would often stop by for dinner. And on Monday nights, they always dressed up for dinner, but I was never dressed up. So I would go and grab a jacket or something from somebody in a tie and put that on. And then years after, I became friends with some of those younger guys, too, because I stayed in dental school for 4 years. So all my guys had kind of gone on, but then some of the younger guys I knew. And then when I came back from going to graduate school in North Carolina, I realized that after I left that they had started a tradition for a couple of years of Clarke Stevens nights. And they would, everybody seemed to know my name when I came back, and I thought that was a little bit odd, but they do it because they would dress up in wild clothes every once in a while. And it's one of the guys from that era, Brad Olson. He loves to tell that story and make people laugh about it. That was a pretty funny deal.
So he used to come in wild clothes to Monday night dinner?
Yeah, well, I would just wear different things because I'd borrow them from people. But then also, all my photographs on the wall, I would wear plaid jackets and bow ties. I always would mix up my look. And, of course, this was in the 70s, and everything was hideous in the 70s. So by the time the 80s rolled around, all that looked ridiculous. So these guys were having Clarke Stevens nights. So that was really funny. That was after the fact, but that was really a funny thing.
That's great. That's great. He has a legacy, and who doesn't want to leave a legacy?
Yes.
Yeah, you know.
That's right.
Terrific. Well, you touched on a little bit. You talked about graduate school, but can you talk through just the steps of where did life take you after Acacia? So let's say you're out of dental school. You're not going to Monday night dinners as often, anymore. Stopping by
right.
Clarke Stevens night. Where does life take you now to get to where you are today?
Well, one thing that happened when I was in that first year in dental school, I did not do very well that first semester. And then I got better after that. My grades looked better, and I scored really high on some exams. But I ended up going to North Carolina to orthodontics, which was one of the better programs in the country because I had such a bad first semester. The chairman of the department, a couple people on the acceptance committee, they thought I would be an interesting guy to meet. And so they decided to offer me a position at North Carolina, which was really, really surprising because I wasn't like the top of my class because my first year was bad. But so anyway, that experience of being affirmed by that program in North Carolina really helped me expand who I was, and I mentioned today I wasn't much of a drinker, and I didn't like to, I always liked to have a good time, but I was fairly shy, so I realized when I went to North Carolina that I'm not a shy guy, I'm an extrovert. It was just the circumstances of maybe older parents and an older brother, and just I don't know. Like I said, I was creative. I like to create sculptures and do things like that. In high school, I did that for a job, and I actually never had a job that it wasn't working for myself. I did, art and sculptures when I was in high school and college, and then I started my orthodontic practice after that. But when I went to North Carolina, that was really a great move for me because I kind of blossomed as an individual. And then when I came back to Nebraska, I started my practice, and I started a dental facial program at the University of Nebraska to treatment plan patients that need jaw surgery and orthodontics. And then I did that for a while, and then I've done some real estate development, and I have some patents on some braces called Wild Smiles, and they are, I have a company that produces designer braces. They're shaped like hearts, stars, flowers, soccer balls, footballs, and diamonds, and so we market those around the world. And so that's been kind of a fun thing.
Wow, that's great. So you came back from North Carolina, and then you set up shop? You said at University of Nebraska in Lincoln, and then but you're
Well,
in.
I taught there one day a week and worked with the oral surgery department, which happens to be in Omaha, and then we'd go down to the dental school in Lincoln on Fridays. But I started my practice in Regency in Omaha, which is kind of middle of Omaha, and that's where I started my private practice. And I continued that private practice, and I've built a couple of office buildings and have some apartments and things like that. That's more of a distraction than profitable, really. But I have this creative side that always needs to be doing something.
Yeah. So how long have you had your practice now in Omaha?
Oh, it's 30 years.
Wow. Great. That's excellent. So 30 years in Omaha, still trying to be creative, still do some sculptures here now and then. Any
Not
art?
too much. Not too much. I do a few things, but not very much.
Yeah. Well,
Nothing that takes much time to do because I'm doing all this stuff with my braces. I travel around quite a bit for that, and I don't have much time.
Really. Oh, that's great. Yeah, I think you travel to other countries, or is it mainly domestic travel for?
Oh, I tried it. I usually travel overseas a couple times a year. I was in Barcelona, Spain earlier this year with an orthodontic group of folks from North Carolina, and there was a meeting over there. So we did that, and next week I leave for Togo, East Africa, on a missionary trip to kind of with their Department of Commerce. There's 8 of us going, and we're going to talk about entrepreneurship and the leadership principles of Jesus and that.
Wow. Yeah, that takes certainly a lot of time. Yeah, and effort. Well, that's excellent. So very busy, and progress now into your program and helping out and giving back to others.
Right.
Can you say what sort of advice would you like to pass down to other Acacians that are undergraduates at this time?
Well, one thing about any kind of healthcare is that you really are serving other people, and that's one of the Acacia mottos is human service. And when you think about human service, it really is not about yourself at all. And so when we're born, we're pretty selfish creatures. Our parents discover that they have to totally take care of us, and we really want our way all the time. And as you move through life, it's good to get rid of yourself and take on other people and serve them. But that's a very hard thing to do, to realize that you're not the most important thing out there. It's somebody else.
I got you. So the advice would be to put others first.
Yes, get over yourself and put others first. And don't think it's all focused on you, because it isn't. And people are very selfish. Other people think about themselves all the time. So human service is hard because you're being totally selfless.
Yeah,
I had a friend ask me just recently, this last week, to borrow my car. Going to need it for a month, and his family's going to need it for a month. And so I have 2 cars, and I really only need one, and one I drive in the winter. And it's a brand new car with 2,700 miles on it. And so I realized he asked me to borrow this car, and I thought, well, I'm comfortable giving things away or giving things to people or letting them use things when it's my choice. Yeah. So if someone comes up to me and asks me for something, am I willing to let go? A brand new car that's really pretty nice. And I know when I get it back, it won't be the same. It just won't be the same. There'll be, it won't be the same. So, it took me a few days to decide that, yes, I should let him use it, because it's really not about me. It's being more selfless and being more like Jesus. And so if he wants to use it, I guess I got to let him use it. I don't get to decide.
True, true. That's next level human service for sure. Having it.
Well, yeah, it's something. I'm not claiming to be great. It was a struggle thinking about it.
Sure, sure. Yeah, we all have that. Absolutely. Well, that's great. So did you end up providing it to him for a period of time?
Well, I don't know yet. I just emailed him my decision today, so
Oh,
he
great.
hasn't gotten back to me.
Well, best of luck on that. Okay.
Yeah,
That's great. Yeah.
I'm sure he'll use it, and he should. That's fine.
Yeah.
But I thought he should know what I was thinking about. Well, the story I told you, I thought he should know that.
Mm-hmm. That's great. Absolutely. So the advice of human service, absolutely, and putting others first is I think, a critical skill that is great advice for other occasions. Now, this is a transitional question in terms of, given all your experiences in life, what are you most proud of in life?
Well, I guess it would be the journey of learning to be selfless and have it not be about me. I mean, and that's really hard to do, or to love somebody else and not think about yourself.
True. Yes, very, very difficult. A learned skill for sure for most people. Well, that's great. Yeah, and I know
I think it is a learned skill. And sometimes it takes your whole life, and some people never get it.
Yes, very true. Very true. That is right. Well, at least you're working at it, and you're cognizant of it. So that's I think you're ahead of the curve. And
I don't know if I'm ahead of the curve. I just think I'm a hard nut to crack. So
you keep trying.
There's a lot of pressure on that part of me. So it's
That's
no great thing on my part. It's just part of that human journey. And so, I think it always feels good when somebody says something nice about you. And so if somebody shares with me, it really made a big difference in my life when you did this or you said that or do that, that really is a wonderful thing. I think all the accomplishments as far as, material accomplishments or whatever really don't mean very much, but it's easy to focus on that in your life. But it's really the interpersonal relationships that matter the most.
Very true. Well, Clarke, you have made a difference today. I appreciate you taking the time and talking about your story, your childhood growing up through UNL and Acacia, and your work-life balance. I appreciate it, and thank you very much.